Hey there, welcome back to the Electric Valentines. I'm Jerry. You join me with my wife Allison here as we are going to make a modification to my Rivian R1T. Specifically, we're going to install the EVBase Gear Tunnel Slider. Now it's just arrived, it's sitting in my hallway, so let's go take a look. All right, so here it is. It's a bit bigger than I expected. It's quite a big box. I've included a boy child for scale comparison. Connor, why don't you get next to the box? That is a big box. We're going to have to move this thing over to the garage. The garage, and we'll get started on installing this. What do you say?
Let's go.
All right. All right, we've got everything unpacked and ready to install, but in the spirit of transparency, I do want to let you guys know that the Gear Tunnel Slider is being provided to me for free by EVBase, but they have no influence over my review. I'm going to give it to you guys straight, all the pros and cons, whether I like it or I don't. So let's go ahead and get this thing installed and see how it goes. All right, so the first thing we need to do is pop up the trim here with a trim removal tool to uncover some bolt areas where we'll bolt these risers in. So we just need to pop this off here, front part here, and this should just pop right up. There we go. There we go. That's out, and these risers go on each side of the gear tunnel. And we're just going to bolt them into place. We're not going to make them too tight because we want to be able to adjust them once we get the slider in there. Just give this a few turns. All right, now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, now we're going to pop the cover off this side as well. Easy as that, that's off. Now we're going to get the spacer here on this side. And again, we're not going to tighten these up too much, just in case we need to adjust the positioning when we put the slider in. All right, now it's time to get the slider in there. I'm going to have to ask Allison for her help because this is definitely a two-person job. It is heavy, so you slide it in there. I'm going to get to the other side and I'm going to lift it up. There we go. There we go. All right. Because of the handle and all the gear over here, it's a little bit harder to get at these bolts and screws to get them tight. So we're just going to use the included tools to tighten up these bolts here. That should be good. Now we're able to tighten these two screws, but these ones are still, I may have stripped this one actually, and this one just does not want to go in anymore. So I'm not sure what the best way to go about this. I might actually try to replace these with bolts rather than screws. So I'm going to see if I can get the measurements. I might take these out and then replace them. But for now, hopefully they don't interfere with the movement of the slide. Everything else is tightened up, so we'll go ahead and test it. All right, so we've got everything installed. It's a little bit tight here on the passenger side where the slider comes out with the handle. I am going to try to loosen up the risers to see if we can just nudge it just slightly over to the driver's side to give us a little bit more clearance on this side of the gear tunnel. All right, on the driver's side now, just going to loosen this up slightly, and then we're going to just pull it towards us just a little bit. Yeah, I think that's all we need. Just give us a little bit more room to play with. Now we're going to tighten everything back up here. All right. All right, let's try to close this up. Oh, much better. Yeah, we've got a lot more clearance here. It doesn't feel tight when we close it. And I'm going to try to pull this thing out and show you how it works. What's nice about this version compared to some of the older versions of the slider that EVBase had is that this handle rotates to give you a little bit more clearance when you're closing the gear tunnel door. But let's pull this guy out. Here we go. Looks good. It's pretty solid. When you want to put it back in, you pull up on these levers here, or push down rather, unlock it, and slide it back in. Close that right up. Now, one of the cons of this design is that this only slides out on the passenger side. It does not slide out on either side of the Rivian. All right, now that we've got this installed, I got to put all the junk that was in my gear tunnel on the gear tunnel slide. So let's see how it all fits. Here we go. Got my NAX adapter, backpack full of camera equipment, stuff for the Rivian Club, flags, netting, got some blankets. Okay, so here's everything that I did have in the gear tunnel before I installed the slider. A lot more accessible now, somewhat more organized, and we're going to pop it back in. Voila. All in all, it was a pretty easy installation. It's definitely a two-person job to get the slider into the gear tunnel, so find a friend to help you out. For the most part, everything worked as I expected, except these two screws that for some reason don't want to screw in all the way. I'm going to try to replace those with bolts to see if that works any better. But I'm not too worried. Everything still seems pretty secure, even if I have to leave those two screws the way they are. I'm going to use this for the next week or two. I'll let you guys know my conclusions, whether I think this is a good modification for the R1T. If you have any questions in the meantime, let me know down in the comments below what you'd like me to test out with this gear tunnel. I do have plans for continuous content about this gear tunnel slider, different storage options. I do also plan on making a kind of a custom kitchen add-on for this, possibly 3D printed. So if you guys have any tips or anything you want to see in terms of that kind of thing, also let me know down in the comments below. So that's all we have for the video tonight. If you guys have any questions about this install that I didn't cover, again, let me know. Please like and subscribe. I do appreciate your support for the channel. As always, thanks for watching and enjoy the drive.